So I'm sure you guys have noticed that so far in 2023, Jeppy has not been performing well at all. Year to date, Jeppy is actually flat and the S&P is up a whopping 8.28%. That is a massive divergence. There's been consecutive massive green days in the market while Jeppy has been going down. So today I want to try and figure out why this is happening. Is there something systemically wrong with Jeppy, or is the market just being weird? And I want to follow this up by sharing a clip I came across by the Motley Fool podcast, where they give a fantastic summary of the current economic cycle, and I just have to share it with you guys. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. If you do, we always appreciate a like, subscribing for more content, and let's do this. So I guess the first thing to note here is that it's not just Jeppy that's been having tough performance so far in 2023. Other value funds like SCHD have also underperformed, although it is worth noting that Jeppy is performing even worse than this. So far in 2023, year to date, this is the returns of the S&P 500 visualized. It is mostly dominated by green, companies like Apple up 18%, Google 16%, even some of the more heavily beat up names like Meta up 50%, Netflix 22%. So far in 2023, technology has been having a strong comeback, and the sectors that have done well in 2022 are not so hot this year so far. So J&J is down 6.5%, Berkshire Hathaway is flat, Walmart is flat, United Health Group is down 10%, and even Chevron is red. And if we take a look at the composition of Jeppy by sector, this is the makeup of the ETF. So it's dominated by finance as the single largest holding. That's followed by consumer non-durables, healthcare, and utilities. Coming back to the heat map, the sectors that have done the worst are healthcare technology, consumer non-durables, utilities, and healthcare services. But on top of the sector allocation, the actual companies that Jeppy invest in are all large cap blue chip companies. And again, last year that was a strategy that paid dividends, for lack of a better term. But thus far in 2023, small cap companies have also performed better than large cap companies. So we can see here small cap represented by VB is up 13.35% year to date, and the S&P is only up 8.25. We can also just look at the split between value and growth companies represented by VTV and VUG. Of course, in 2022, value was all the rage, but trends change, and this is a warning I give all the time. And year to date in 2023, growth is up nearly 15% and value is almost flat. So the answer as to why Jeppy is so severely underperforming the S&P so far in 2023 is a combination of a few factors. The first factor is the sectors that Jeppy focuses on. And to put it simply, finance, healthcare, utilities have all been underperforming so far this year. Jeppy also focuses on large cap companies, and so far, small cap have done better. And finally, in general, growth companies have been building up some steam after losing all of it last year. Now, I don't mean to pat myself on the back too much, but just a couple of weeks ago, I did publish a video warning people about this potential eventuality. Jeppy outperformed significantly in 2022 and thus gained a lot of popularity, but the odds of Jeppy also outperforming this year is very slim in my opinion. And that's a great segue into this clip I want to highlight from the Motley Fool podcast. I was listening to this podcast and one of the guests laid out a very clear picture of the history of market cycles and where he thinks we are right now in this cycle. But I want to go ahead and play just a small clip of this idea, and I'm going to follow it by visually drawing out what he's talking about.
In '68, you had a big speculative bubble. People were speculating in the space stock, right? Any company with the word tronics in it was just bid up to 50 times earnings. So that was those were the glamour stocks, as they were called. And then the market fell. We had a recession in 1970. It wiped out retail, like the retail speculators. I mean, very similar to the meme stock stuff of today. And then when the market recovered, the market was in the hands of institutional investors, and they would only buy the companies that they knew they would never have to worry about in terms of producing earnings. So they were like the one and done companies like Colgate and IBM and Xerox and companies like that. That became a bubble relative to the rest of the market. And then a long, long period where they underperformed. And then around 10 years ago, the current phenomenon started. So we had an 8-year run of large cap growth companies dominating everything else, small cap value.
So here's my best visual representation of what he was just talking about. So it all began in the late 60s with the space bubble. He described how basically any company that did anything with space skyrocketed in price. That was followed by the recession of the 1970s. And following this recession, there was a huge pivot away from these speculative technology space companies and towards stable blue chip companies with strong earnings. Kind of sounds familiar. But eventually, this too became its own bubble, and it led to a long period where these blue chip companies underperformed. Following that was another period of speculation, the dot-com bubble in the early 2000s. Of course, that came crashing down, as we all know, and that was followed by the recent period where large cap growth, think Google, Apple, Amazon. These companies in the past decade have done amazing. All you had to do was buy large cap growth companies and you would have done phenomenal. But just like all these cycles before, this too will and or has come to an end. And in the podcast, he makes the argument that the next phase here is a move to value and small cap companies. And if that is indeed the case, then these ETFs that focus on large cap companies like Jeppy might continue to have underperformance. But that's gonna do it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, subscribe for more content in the future, and I'll see you guys in the next one.